If you waited past your full retirement age to claim Social Security, whether it was 1 extra year, 2 years, or all the way to 70, you made a patient decision that was supposed to reward you with a permanently higher monthly check for the rest of your life. And maybe it did. But here's what a lot of people in your exact situation don't know. The Social Security Administration calculates your delayed retirement credits on a specific schedule that most retirees are never told about. And when that schedule doesn't go the way it's supposed to, the extra money you earned by waiting, sometimes hundreds of dollars a month, simply doesn't show up. No alert, no letter, no explanation. The check keeps coming, and it looks like a normal Social Security payment, so you assume everything is fine. I'm going to explain exactly how this works, why it goes wrong, what the dollar stakes are, and the 3 specific steps you take to find out whether your credits were applied correctly. Stay through all 3. The last step is the one almost nobody knows to ask for, and it's the one that gets the problem fixed when everything else has failed. Before I get into it, if you're not already subscribed to Alana for Seniors, please do that right now and turn on the bell. Here's why it matters directly to you. The rules around Social Security benefit calculations, correction procedures, and processing timelines change constantly. When they change, the SSA posts an update on their website. That's the full extent of their notification. What I do on this channel is take that information and explain what it actually means for your specific situation before a deadline passes or a mistake goes unnoticed long enough to compound. The people subscribed here find out in time. The ones who aren't tend to discover these things much later, sometimes years into collecting a check that was never quite right. Hit subscribe, turn on the bell, and let's get into this. Let's start with the foundation, because this is where most people get lost. When you delay claiming Social Security past your full retirement age, the SSA rewards you with what are called delayed retirement credits. The rate is 2/3 of 1% for every month you wait past your full retirement age, up to the age of 70. That comes out to exactly 8% per year. Stop collecting credits at age 70, because after that point, waiting longer adds nothing. So if your full retirement age is 67 and you waited until 70, your monthly benefit should be 24% higher than your base amount. If your full retirement age was 66 and you waited until 70, that's a 32% increase. These aren't small adjustments. On a typical Social Security benefit, we're talking about several $100s more every single month for the rest of your life, with cost of living increases layered on top. According to the SSA's own published data for 2026, the average Social Security retirement check is about $2,076 a month. A full 24% increase on that amount is nearly $498 more every month. Over 20 years, that's close to $120,000. That's the size of the number we're talking about when we say delayed retirement credits. This was not a small decision you made. You earned every dollar of that increase by waiting. Now here's the part that almost no one explains, and this is where the problem lives. The SSA does not apply your delayed retirement credits to your check in real time. They apply them once a year, in January. That's it. All credit adjustments for the previous year are processed and posted to your account in January of the following year. So here's what this means practically. If you started collecting benefits mid-year, let's say in August, your initial check reflects the delayed credits you earned up through the previous December. But the credits from January through July of the year you started are not in that first check. They get calculated and added in January of the following year, along with retroactive back pay covering all the months you already received. This is how it's supposed to work. And when it works correctly, in January, your benefit goes up and you receive a lump sum covering the months where the lower amount was paid. Most people don't know this is coming. So when January arrives and the check is larger and includes a catch-up payment, they're surprised but pleased. The problem is that it doesn't always work correctly. There are documented cases, confirmed by multiple Social Security forums and community reports from 2025, of retirees who waited past their full retirement age by months or even years, and whose January adjustment simply never happened. The check stayed the same. The credits were never applied, and when those people called SSA, they were told, repeatedly, that it was in the system, that it would be fixed next month. One person documented making 11 separate trips to their local SSA office over 18 months, trying to recover approximately $370 more per month that was never added to their benefit. Still not resolved as of the fall of 2025, $370 a month, 18 months. That's over $6,600 in back pay that someone earned by doing the right thing, by waiting, by being patient, and the agency responsible for paying it kept telling them it would be taken care of. Here's what makes this especially hard to catch. When the SSA makes this kind of error, your check doesn't stop. It doesn't bounce. It doesn't come with a red flag or a notice. You just keep receiving the same amount, and if you don't know what your benefit was supposed to be, you have no way of knowing it's wrong. That's why this check matters so much, not because you made a mistake, but because the system made one quietly, and you need to be the one to find it. So let's get into the steps, because this is the part that actually puts money back where it belongs. Step 1. Calculate what your delayed retirement credits should be before you call anyone. You need to know your own number. Here is the simple formula. Take the number of complete months you waited past your full retirement age, up to a maximum of 36 months if your FRA is 67, or 48 months if your FRA is 66. Multiply that number by 2/3 of 1%. The result is the percentage increase that should have been added to your primary insurance amount, which is the base benefit you were entitled to at full retirement age. For example, if your full retirement age was 67 and you waited exactly 3 years to 70, that's 36 months times 2/3%, which equals 24%. If your base benefit at FRA would have been $2,000, your check should be $2,480 per month. If it's less than that, something is missing. You can find your primary insurance amount, your FRA amount, on your Social Security statement. Go to ssa.gov and log into your My Social Security account. Once you're in, open your benefit statement and look for the amount listed at your full retirement age. That's your baseline. Apply the percentage from your delay, and you now have the number your check should be hitting. Write that number down before you do anything else. Step 2. Check whether the January adjustment was applied and whether it was applied correctly. If you started receiving benefits in a year other than the year you first filed, look at your January payment specifically, not December, not November, January. That is when the SSA is required to update your benefit to reflect the prior year's delayed credits. Log into your My Social Security account and look at your payment history. Compare the January payment from the year after you started collecting against the payments from the months before it. If your benefit went up in January and the math matches what we calculated in Step 1, your credits were applied. You're done with this step. If your January payment looks identical to every other month, or if the increase is smaller than your calculation says it should be, you have a problem that needs to be fixed. Step 3. Call the SSA and use this specific language. The number is 1-800-772-1213. Call during morning hours on Tuesdays or Wednesdays for the shortest wait times. When an agent answers, do not just say your benefit seems wrong. That language opens a general inquiry and often leads nowhere productive. Instead, say these exact words. Write them down before you dial. I need to speak with a technical expert about delayed retirement credits. I want to verify that my DRCs have been correctly calculated and applied to my account for every month I delayed past my full retirement age. That specific phrase, technical expert, is important. Technical experts are a different tier of SSA employee than the general agents who answer the phone. They have access to different tools, different systems, and the authority to identify and correct calculation errors that general agents often cannot resolve. Multiple people in documented cases found that general agents kept telling them the issue was in the system, while a technical expert was the person who actually fixed it. When you reach the technical expert, give them your calculation. Tell them the number of months you delayed, the percentage increase you calculated, and what your monthly benefit should be. Ask them to confirm whether that calculation matches what is on your record, and whether the January adjustment has been processed correctly for every year since you started collecting. If there is an error and the technical expert cannot fix it on the call, say these words: "I would like to file a formal request for reconsideration." That phrase escalates your case to a separate review process. It creates a documented record that you identified the problem and requested correction. That documentation matters if you need to follow up again later. If your January adjustment was never applied, you are entitled to back pay for every month the wrong amount was paid. That retroactive payment can go back to the date the adjustment should have occurred. Let me put the numbers on this so it doesn't stay abstract. On the average Social Security benefit of $2,076 a month in 2026, a 24% delayed retirement credit increase should add about $498 per month to your check. If that credit was never applied, you are losing $498 every single month. Over 1 year, that's $5,976. Over 5 years, nearly $30,000. Over a 15-year retirement, close to $90,000. And that's the average benefit. If your base amount is higher, the gap is larger. If you only delayed 1 or 2 years instead of 3, the numbers are proportionally smaller, but the principle is identical. You earned a specific percentage increase for every month you waited. That increase was promised to you by federal law. If it's not in your check, it's sitting in an SSA processing queue, and the agency is not going to flag it for you. There's one more thing I want to say before we close, because it keeps coming up in conversations around this topic. Some people who go through this process find out that their delayed retirement credits were applied correctly and their check is right. If that's you, that is genuinely good news, and knowing it for certain has real value. You can stop wondering. But a meaningful number of people go through this process and discover that something is wrong. An adjustment that didn't post, a calculation that used the wrong baseline, a January update that the system shows as processed but that never changed the deposit amount. These are real errors. They are documented, and the people who find them and correct them get money that was legally theirs from the day they first delayed. One phone call to the right person with the right language is the difference between knowing and not knowing. Here is what I want you to do today. Pull up your My Social Security account at ssa.gov. Find your payment history. Look at whether your January benefit was higher than the months before it, and whether that increase matches the percentage you earned by waiting. If the math is off, call 1-800-772-1213. Ask for a technical expert on delayed retirement credits and bring the number you calculated. If you know someone who waited past 67 to claim Social Security and they haven't done this check, send them this video. The verification takes about 10 minutes. The correction, if one is needed, can recover thousands of dollars they earned and never received. That's a 10-minute investment worth making. Subscribe to Alana for Seniors, turn on notifications, and I'll see you in the next one.